Hi, I'm Gary, and I just want to share some diagramming techniques and tools that I use when building up that shared mental model with your team. The first one is a time saver. The scratch pad or palette, really important, and lets me share elements that I'm using over and over again and to be able to quickly draw them and get them onto a diagram. So find that in your tool of choice. The other one that's really important, I believe, is the layers. Layers allow me to create an incremental build. An incremental build is how to keep everybody's kind of mental model in a close lockstep during the design discussions so that you can see how it progresses, see how the design is going to progress over time, and see how we're building up this software into the different functionalities and the different things, subsystems, domains that are touched within there. I'm always careful to name my layers in using a domain-specific language for sure. If it's something that we're all using together, let's keep using those in the layers, and so we can easily see and turn off and on different parts. And those layers can be different things. In this example, I have a couple of different ideas. One, in this particular layer, this is an entire subsystem by itself, and that may be useful for some discussions. To being able to turn something off and on is just nice to be able to get out of the way or bring it in and be able to point to something quickly and not clutter up the things. The other thing is just kind of show a flow within a particular application. Let's say we're focusing in on a front-end type of application and we want to show a few things. Well, again, I have my domain-specific language here, what we're talking about, and we say, okay, hey, there's the usage navigation layer. Let's use this. This transitions, and then we can talk about how it's going to communicate with that back end. Might even bring up some notes during a meeting or move those, maybe some things that I've been thinking about or the other team wanted to capture and discuss, and be able to turn those off and on. So those are some very important things. In this example, I'm using diagrams to show a relationship between data and how it's represented in the UI. Again, I use layers. Well named, so we can all follow along with how that discussion might progress or where the data is going to be represented and when. So that during a discussion, I can show the relationships just graphically between those two things and how that might look. This helps guide lots of discussion around how we're actually going to show that data, where it's coming from, is it the most efficient way to do such a thing, and other good things come out of discussions like this. In this example, I didn't even choose to use layers, but it's always important to be able to show where the system is currently and how it's going to change in the next sprint or the next effort. So in this instance, I just needed to be able to call attention to those new things that needed to be added. Maybe we had several of whatever these endpoints happen to be, and I decided to highlight in a green color for this example what's coming down the pike. What's going to be the new stuff to work on so that still we can see how all the parts relate to the whole, but we can also zero in on exactly what's going to be need to be implemented in this next sprint. So it can be as easy as this, no layers required. In this example, I wanted to use layers for something completely different. Before, my earlier examples, I had been showing using the domain to drive what those layers are going to be named. In this instance, I decided to use Jira cards. Maybe that would be a useful tool for devs also. Grab a card, see where the diagram's listed, go over, turn on the layer that you're going to be working on, and get even a better idea of what's going to be happening in that card or perhaps the scope of that card. So here you can turn on, turn them off, say, hey, these parts, in this example, this data is going to be interesting to the UI for this reason at this point. And being able to make different layers like that were focused instead on maybe some of the domain, in this instance, the evolution of the software as it goes through its changes, and being able to select just the scope, for instance, a card. I found it useful. In this last example, I just wanted to call out using color and or patterns in your diagrams. They don't have to be just black and white. You can change it up a little bit. You can use that to communicate as well. Here I have color and I have patterns that are interpreted for this particular group as, hey, we're going to set up an interface here. This probably won't change very much. And that's the green and the solid boundary, the solid line that's heavy there. And then also, hey, this is some domain logic. These rules may switch. We may want to switch those out, and those are given red and also dashed boundary, dash borders, so that folks can interpret that to say, yeah, these things, we should anticipate these things changing, and we can plug and play those as we need to. But the rest of it on down will be fairly solid and unchanging. So don't forget about using those kinds of techniques too. All right, and I'm Gary, and that pretty much wraps it up for discussing some of my diagramming techniques. Hopefully you found a few things that you can take away and try on your own diagrams. I'd be excited to hear about them and enjoy it. So thanks for hanging out with me at the whiteboard, and best of luck in all your projects. Take care.